So Joan, the session's being recorded. I'll be sharing it with you as early as Monday. So yeah, you can use the recording link to share with the ones who didn't join earlier. So that way it's easier for them. All right, so just quickly introducing myself to everyone over here. My name is G3 and I'm from uLaw Client Success. Joan and I had a chance to talk about showcasing uLaw platform to all of you and show you how it works as a legal practice management system or software. So here we are today. I'm going to be presenting a brand new topic probably to all of you, but it's a very recognized topic from Law Society because it's been accredited for 1 hour of CPD. So in fact, we do this as CPD sessions for many lawyers and paralegals. So we thought this would be a really nice topic to begin with, to introduce to all of you what a practice management means and what are the the key points that you might have to keep in mind if you decide to go ahead and practice. And, these are some obligations that is laid out by Law Society. These are some, overall points that you might want to keep in your mind the day you decide, okay, I'm going to start a practice on my own. What are the things that you will need to clear from your checklist of, professional obligations? So there are different types of professional obligations. So what I'll do is this presentation alone is worth an hour of, not even an hour, 90 minutes of CPD credits. But I'm not going to do complete 90 minutes for you guys. And I'm only going to do 25 minutes of the presentation to give you all a good idea of what are these different headers that we see in our agenda for professional obligations. And then I will move quickly into my uLaw practice platform for about 30 minutes to showcase all of these over there and see how it works. And then maybe we can open the floor for discussion. All right? Joan, does that work for you, all of you?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, as part of everything practice management topic, Law Society has covered professional obligations that you will need to maintain and adhere to in order to be compliant with Law Society from all aspects of it, especially when you're practicing sole practitioners, small firms, whatever it is. So this is where you get to start. You always start with a good client intake, service and communication, making sure that you maintain certain obligations for a client intake. So we're going to see that under the client intake, service and communication. File management, making sure you maintain a separate matter file for each client, ensuring you record their details, their, let's say their driver's license, whatever, their photo ID, and then, their retainer letters, their agreements, fee book, invoices, all the etc. details of your client is managed in each of these files respectively. So you have a good file management or a matter management. At the same time, you're able to accomplish the financial data management in that part. So financial management has two components from my perspective. One component is a client-based component. So whichever is pertaining to your client, like your client would have paid you some money, you would have incurred some expenses on behalf of your client, which is disbursements. Maybe your legal fee is included. So all of these forms part of financial management as one side. And the other side is your office expenses. So you would incur expenses to run your office, whatever bare minimum, right? Whether you're in a home office or whether you're in a rented space or whatever it is, you're going to be ending up spending a little money to keep your office running. So that is termed as office expenses. So that is another part of financial management. Now, all of these put together is a good business management, making sure that, you're handling your overall business with some sense of compliances, making sure that no malpractices and all of the other things. We'll be looking into each of this in detail and starting from the next slide. And overall professional management and professional obligations are there, like, making sure that you attend your CPDs, making sure that you're registering with the respective governance body or membership council, making sure that you are on top of the new legislation. So many of these form part of professional management. So along with servicing your client, along with managing your business, along with making sure your accounting compliances are fine, you also need to take care of your professional management in order to sustain your compliances of being a professional, of being a lawyer or a paralegal. Time management and personal management is totally up to you, making sure that you are able to balance all of it in all this given circumstances, because being a new entrepreneur is no easy. Being not just a new entrepreneur, being a practitioner, legal practitioner, making sure that end to end you're servicing everything to your client, you're recording it somewhere, either in the books or in the program, manually in an Excel spreadsheet. So, but the manual Excel spreadsheet wouldn't do too many things for you, but what uLaw does is what we're going to see, and how you can manage your time within that, and also your personal management overall. So we're going to be seeing all of these topics in a nutshell in the upcoming slide. So let me walk you down through professional obligation for a client intake first. When it comes to client intake, it's super simple. You have a client reaching out to you through some source, could be through your friends, could be through, Google, could be through anywhere. So making sure you're recording the minutest detail of how they found you. Maybe that's called source of contact. In fact, that is one of the most important compliance document when it comes to onboarding a client, along with conflict check. A lot of us know conflict check is, but at the same time, source of contact, Law Society is very curious to know source of contact. How did the client reach out to you? Have you recorded all their details, like, address, phone number, whatever, you have basic details of them. And then goes into conflict check. Conflict check is something when, let's say you have two same client names. Is that conflict check? No. There can be, of course, two, say, similar client names, two similar last names, but the conflict check really means that you have to make sure that there is no conflict between the parties, the additional parties, or between any other person, making sure everything matches perfectly. Because even if the address of the similar sounding or similar contact name or similar last name is same, so there is some conflict in there. So making sure that you're performing a conflict check, entering the source of contact and other details of the prospective client, and arriving at a way or a method on how you're going to charge this client. Are you going by retainer basis, which is collecting money into trust account? Or are you going by invoicing after I finish the work and then get the money into general account? So now there are two types of people. Actually, there are more, but prominently there are two types of these people who would get money into trust as a retainer because they have a trust account and because they don't want to risk it. They want to always start their work based on retainer, get the money into trust, finish the work, and then you can invoice or bill it and move it from trust to general, that way making that money yours. Because when it is in trust, it's not your money, it's your client's money. That's why it's pooled trust account. different clients pool in money into trust accounts. So, it's not your funds, it's pooled funds of your clients. So all of these minute details, decisions, references, information has to be done at the time of client intake. Now, there can be different methods you could use for client intake. You could do a simple paper pen method if they come into your office, or you could just send them, a PDF version of this paper pen method instead of, everyone's going virtual. Even better right now in uLaw, what we have something called Client Portal, which will directly send your client a link if you give your client's email ID in uLaw. We've made it as simple as possible for you to, get involved in this process of client intake so that they could do the work and you will get the output. That's how it works. And once you've decided, okay, this is the method of client intake I'm going to go with, these are the details I've received from the client, they're recorded in there, conflict check is done, source of contact is identified, I've decided to collect a retainer or not collect a retainer. If I decide to collect a retainer, I want to make sure that my trust accounts are set up properly, that I would be able to give them a receipt, because those are all, again, obligations to you.
Gabe,
yeah.
This is Joan. Are you at any time going to actually be showing them the software? Because they don't really need a
presentation.
A presentation so much as we've been through this. They're students. We just finished all of this. What my goal for today was.
Okay.
What my goal for today was for them to actually see the software. They know what they need to collect. We've just finished that. My students have been
sorry,
taught.
I didn't know that because that's why at the beginning I said this is a presentation which is 60 minutes long, but I'm going to make it in 25 minutes. And then I'm going to showcase 30 minutes of uLaw to them. So,
okay.
But you know what?
That's fine. A lot of this I couldn't hear. So, but my students, I think they're pretty confident,
Okay, let's then jump into uLaw. Then, you know what?
Yeah,
I would prefer jumping into uLaw in that case. So,
they're really.
I'm sorry I was not more clear at the beginning, but glad you stopped me. Otherwise, I would have gone over 25 minutes at least over there.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Any which ways.
And I know how busy you are, so if we can make this as succinct as possible. I've been singing the praises of uLaw for, about a month now, and everybody is just wanting to see this. They want.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, okay, awesome. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Joan, for bringing that to my notice. So, so this is uLaw platform for all of you. So uLaw is a cloud-based software. It is not in your desktop. It is something that is there on the browser, accessed from browser. So you will be given a username, password, and then, of course, you can change and make your own password. Then you log in, and then you're into it. I am right now into my EDU account. So EDU account is something that was given for students. In fact, Joanne, if you need, I can pass this down to all of you. For practices purpose. But once I'm logged in, this is the landing page. I am in dashboard. Now, dashboard can be very versatile. You can choose what you want to go in here. You can control your entire accounts from the settings part of it. Okay, so I'm not getting into that until and unless you decide to, let's say, use uLaw in future and you need help. You're always given a demo and help with setting up all your profile and go on from there. But in a nutshell, you can control what you see in your dashboard from settings. So dashboard is predominantly used to come in here and check what has recently happened in your account, whether you have any invoices pending to be raised, whether you have any new contacts, you need to create a matter, or you've created a matter, you need to start working on it. So all of them are seen over here. Of course, your news and other upcoming events, etc. That comes from your calendar. And that's about dashboard on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll actually see 7 icons. We refer to it as 7 days of the week, starting with dashboard, ending with analytics. And then in the center, we have contacts, quick view, matters, and accounts, or rather accounts and calendar. Now, dashboard, calendar, and analytics is something, analytics is for your internal purposes, of course, to understand how much P&L I got this month and how much of expense I incurred, how much of a revenue I made. So to know all of those is where analytics comes into a picture. We will look into this in the end after we have entered data so that you can sync or relate to it. But predominantly used tabs by, paralegals, lawyers, basically legal practitioners are, well, basically contacts, quick view to view all their files, what have they added in so far. I want to access something. I don't want to go and look for it in the contacts, then go into a matter, but straight away come search for a client or a file number or a status, whatever it is, and jump into or hop into a file right from here. Matters is where we say most of the file work is done. Every client will have a matter, and every matter will have the respective details of that client, like whether there are some dockets, there are some disbursements or retainer, and then there'll be a whole bunch of these that you can take a look at it. I will be honestly walking you through an example and just giving you a glimpse of what a matter page looks like. And then, so when everything related to client is done in matter, obviously there will be money involved in here, payments involved in here, invoices raised, transfers done from trust to general. Or where do we see all of those? Of course, you're going to be seeing it in the respective tabs over here that says trust and general. If there's money come into general, I would look into general or gone out, both. Come in, gone out for both trust and general respectively. Is deposit and withdrawal. You will work on it over here for a client, and you get to see all of these at the bottom. What has happened in my trust? Okay, good. I got a retainer, I got a refund made, or then I had a new retainer come in, then I dispersed it for something else. So and then I have also transferred. So now that's how it's going to look under the respective screens that we have here as trust and general after you add in the transactions, either from the retainer tab or these trust and general tabs. So we'll be looking into all this in detail with a perfect example. Now, besides matters, we have accounts. Now, accounts is where most of our accounting takes place, but the matter-related accounting has already taken place in the matters, right? When I deposited funds into trust, when I withdrew funds from there, wherever, trust, general, anywhere. So if you look at this page, could be in a large, very, kind of confusing to understand what is the tab that I would need to access here at all. So there's an action tab in every single page, mostly matters and accounts at least. So and you also have one in contact. So making sure you always access the action button to see what you'd like to do, because all of these that you see outside should mostly be here under the action tab, okay? But we've made some highlights for you on the top at different colors when you want to add an expense, when you want to import a bank statement, because accounts is not just client-related accounting, whether the money from client has received or you've invoiced, trust transferred, paid yourself, whatever. But it is also for office-related expenses and other things. So we'll come to that part also soon. Now, accounts, like I said, is made up of two things: office expenses, client expenses, other income, and legal income. Everything is recorded here. End of the day, you would go ahead, reconcile your books. Now, reconciliation is like the top document your auditor would look for, or Law Society needs on a monthly basis for your previous month end. So making sure you get all the reconciliation documents on time, making sure other compliances for monthly compliance for Law Society documents is also generated on time, and that if I need to generate them, I need to input data. So that is what happens in the Matter and Accounts tab, where you input the data and we give you the output in the form of these reports. If you don't input the data, these reports are technically going to be blank. So we're going to see now a perfect example end-to-end, starting off with intaking a client, opening a matter, adding a few dockets, of course, knowing the compliances behind it, and then moving forward with invoicing, doing a trust transfer, paying yourself, incurring some expenses or office expenses, and reconciliation and compliance. That's what I'm going to showcase to all of you in the next 20 minutes. So just stop me if you feel you want me to repeat anything or elaborate anything. All right. So I'm right now in the Contacts tab. Under the Contacts tab, I'm going to very simply add a new client by simply clicking on Add New Client. But as I already mentioned, there's a client portal where you can use that to send a link to the client, or you can use the Document Generation tab on the right-hand side top corner to send out a client intake form to the client, so that the client would fill it and send it back to you. And you can always click on Import Contact and upload the client intake form that the client is sending you across. So now I'm just avoiding those two and going in for a very simpler method to add the client's name myself. Okay. RC Mike. I'm going to give a source of contact. Let's see. Very basic information. Making sure that, if this is a corporation, if they want a company name invoicing, you bring in the company name into the client. Otherwise, leave it as the person or with the first name, last name. You're going to save it. Once you save it, the first thing you're going to be doing is clicking on Action to do the conflict check. Once you perform the conflict check, you're more confident that there is no conflict with this particular client, and you're going to be proceeding ahead with opening a matter. So like I said, there are different ways to do the conflict check, but in uLaw, you're going to click on Action or the Compliance button under Document Generation to do a conflict check. Both will bring up the same document for you. Now, this is the conflict check document. Shows you all the potential conflicts, potential last name conflicts for Mike. And if there's anything with the first name conflict or partial name appearing, anything, you could enter it over here and double check. So in this case, there's no conflict. So you proceed with opening a matter. So once you click on matter, you'll be able to enter the matter information. So here on, anything that you enter is relating to only Darcy in this page. Okay, so every single client would have a matter, and it pertains only to their information or their file information. So let's say this one was a traffic ticket. So you are entering traffic ticket or a speeding ticket. In the matter description, you can say speeding ticket maybe. And you want to have a code file number or you have a ticket number. You can enter all of those. And then area of practice, let's say now as a paralegal, you would be practicing at various areas. So we always recommend adding in the specific area of practice. So for a single file, so that end of the day, you know what is your revenue generated from each area of practice. Like this is what I made from POA. This is how much I made from LTP. This is what I made from, small claims. So you will be able to, end of the day, understand what is this revenue that you have generated from each area of practices. Now, these are some small, minute details that goes unnoticed by many of them, but it goes a long way when you go to a year-end trying to figure out many things. So right from day one, if you're able to collect or gather all these information and record it somewhere, like this over here, it will be really amazing for you at the time of need. So coming back to it, we have the matter title, we have the area of practice, we have the file number, as in like the speeding ticket number. And if you're doing an hourly rate, you have to decide whether you're going to do an hourly rate or a flat rate. Now, flat rate means a block fee. Many people like to do block fee because it's more easier, but some people like to do flat rate, billable rate. So it's going to be something that you have to enter here on the top. Tell us before you start billing, what is it that per hour you want to choose for this client or charge for this client. So let's say I by default charge 300, but for this client, for some reason, I have made it 250. I don't have an assistant. Okay, good. No assistant fees over there. But even if it is there, it's not harmful because you're not going to invoice anything under your assistance rate deliberately. So you can even choose to leave it as it is. You can click on save. There's a default tax rate already implemented. Now, this is your file number that's created by uLaw with the date on which you've created it. Okay. So now if you are someone who's not going to charge taxes to your client, maybe, in the first few months, you've not crossed the limit, then you can always make sure this is 0%. So not default tax rate, because otherwise it'll set up for your province, the default tax code. So my province is Ontario, so I have 13% taxes applicable on this invoice. If I don't want it to be that, I need to change it at the time I'm creating the matter over here, or at least before I raise an invoice. Okay. Now, let's say that we have all the matter events going under the docket. Disbursements is where you're going to be adding all your disbursements and retainer. Okay, these are the two tabs I'm going to work on right now to show you, because I think we already saw trust in general. Right, and then the center tabs in between, not mostly used by many people, sole practitioner, and but some people do. Some people do it. They want to add in more details of a client. They want to add in more legal counsel and then charge accordingly to the client. You can, if you have new rate, maybe this is an ongoing file, 6 months down, you've changed your rates, you can add in your new rates and bill it under that. If there are any additional parties, you can add it over here to this file. If you want to add documents into your Google Drive or from your Google Drive into uLaw rather, you could use the Drive documents under Open Drive option. Trust in general is something that we've already seen, but I'll be walking you through as we do the example. Right. So now let's say the first docket you want to do is the initial client meeting. You held it for about 30 minutes or 36 minutes. You want to charge your client the same amount of time. Now, autofill billable came handy. So the difference between the two timers here or timing tabs here is that one is duration on the left-hand side. One is the actual time you took to complete this work. And the one on the right-hand side, which says billable time, is the time you are charging your client for. Sometimes people would take 36 minutes but charge them 30 minutes round off. Sometimes people would charge more. So it totally depends on what you want to bill your client. So the right-hand side is billable, left-hand side is the actual duration. or the duration you enter. Now, you could say the next one was something to do with drafting. You spent about an hour. You want to charge the same time. So drop down autofill billable. Now you have description. Yes, please go ahead and use the recorder, and then it will convert recording into text. Or you want to just type it in. You just say client meeting held on 8th of Feb and discuss it. Okay, just that much. And then let's say you apply, then for same thing goes with document drafting. You want to add in more events, you can do it. Now let me show you one event with flat rate. So as you keep adding dockets, that's what we call as events over here. So let's say this one is titled maybe here. So this one took you about 2 hours, but you don't want to charge your client $500, which is your rate per hour times 2. Instead, you want to go ahead and do a flat rate. When you do a flat rate, you can control what you want to charge your client. Let's say you want to charge only $300 plus taxes. So you're done with the dockets. This is what I want to invoice my client. I'm done with this file. So you click on save, and the dockets immediately gets on there, saved. And on the right-hand side top, you'd see there's a projected balance. So far, you've billed your client for $452 as time and $339 as flat rate. So overall, your client owes you $700 plus taxes. Okay. So right now, you're going to click on Disbursements Retainer tab. Let's say you have a new retainer in here. Now, there are 2 ways to add in a retainer when a client gives you, in uLaw at least, or actually 3 ways. Number 1, simple. You can see disbursements and retainer are added from this tab. So if you go in here, you can click on new retainer and simply add it over here. Or if you're someone who wants to follow the money. Okay, my client paid me into trust account. So let me click on trust tab over here. And then, sorry, did you say something, Joanne?
No.
Okay, so let's say that your client paid you into trust account as a retainer. So you have an option to pay it from the disbursements retainer tab. Click on new retainer, enter the information over here and apply it. Now, the other method to do it is if you're following your bank, you got money into your trust account. Yes. So let me click on trust account here. So I got money into, which means it is a deposit. So I'm going to click on deposit in trust, and you have another option here, new retainer. So this is like maybe another additional step involved in here, but at least this is something that would make you feel better because you're following what happened in your bank. You clicked on trust, was into trust, so deposit, and then you clicked on new retainer. So you know where you are. Now, the third way to do it is a lot of them click on action button because you don't know where to click on. You go under action, everything is listed out here. So you know that if it's deposit in general, no, it's a deposit in trust. So go under trust, and then you click on new retainer, the same tab is up. Okay. Now, I always prefer using the trust tab and deposit in trust, even though it's one additional step. I'm satisfied that I'm following what happened in my bank. So let's say this client had paid me initial client retainer way back, let's say 1st of Feb or 8th of Feb when I met them. And then I entered all the information and gave them the receipt on the same day. So let's say Darcy, Mike got a receipt as well, and you're going to apply it. Okay. You download the receipt and all information's in here, and this is how a receipt looks. Okay. So you have all of the details of the client, of yourself, of the file number, who you received it from that day, whether it was Darcy or Darcy's spouse or whoever. mother, father, basically relative, friend. So you have to enter in the receipt from details, which will vary from the client information, but make sure everything is captured properly. And of course, the reference numbers are very, very important. The email transfer reference number or the check reference number. There's different methods you can receive a payment. So make sure you record them appropriately. So now that I've recorded a retainer, if you look at the projected balance on the top, it is reduced from 791 to 291. It means I'm going to invoice my client for 791, of which $500 is already sitting in my trust. So when I invoice it, I could just simply move it from trust to general and make that money mine. Now, besides that, there's a $291 that the client owes you, which they can always send into the general account, right? Because you're done with the work. Or they can send it to trust and you can move it from trust to general because you've already completed the invoice. It'll be showing as payments or trust transfer. So right now I'm going to raise an invoice. Before I raise an invoice, I want to add one more component to this invoice. So I've added dockets from matter events. I've added retainer from trust, deposit and trust. I need to add a disbursement. So where do I add a disbursement? Disbursement is solely added from disbursements tab only. Unlike retainer, you can go into several tabs, but disbursements are done from here. Of course, trust and general disbursements are done from withdraw from trust and withdraw from general, but the easier way to add it is disbursements, add new disbursements, and there's a bunch of these options that we give you. Now, the best way to follow for a disbursement is best way to record a disbursement rather is to follow your money. When you follow your money, you know how you've spent it and you will be able to record it. In this case, or in general, let's take it, you have withdrawal from trust. Have you paid it from trust? That's what it means. If it is not, then you skip and go to the next step, which is withdraw from general. Yes, but general cash, there are other accounts too. I could use my personal credit card. I could use my business credit card. I could use cash, whatever it is. So that is the option you have here. And when it is withdraw from general, you have a couple of more specific options. Like if you see, there are actuals, mileages, units. So if you're using any of these maybe, to record a travel, to record photocopies, whatever it is, you can use this one. Actuals, you can use this one because these are actually spent money. Like, you have a filing fee or you have a court fee, something of that sort. You will be able to add in all the information. And let's say this is tax exempt. Have you really paid for this? Yes, it is a court fee. I have paid for it. And you can enter the courthouse details. If you want to enter a check information, please go ahead and enter the check information because you can also print check from uLaw. Let's say this is courthouse. Save it, and you'll see that my check can be downloaded from uLaw and printed, of course, right? You have all the information in here. You can download it and print it from the program directly into your check. Okay, so mine is a middle check. The check is in the middle, and then the other folio copies are on the top and bottom. Okay, so there are different types of disbursements, as I mentioned. There's one more disbursement I want to show you guys. So one disbursement is an actual disbursement that I just added. And of course, if it's not actual billable, maybe it's mileage, you can move it into mileage tab. You can do it as a unit rate for photocopies. You can, use travel time entered over here where if you're traveling to your client's office space. So you have different options under which you can record expenses on client's account, which is disbursements. The other disbursement here is that pay disbursements from general cash other accounts, which is also very frequently used, in fact, by all. You will be seeing two portions over here. There's a top portion, there's a bottom portion. Now, the top portion is what you charge your client. So which is what is going to go in the invoice along with your legal fee. The bottom portion is what is going to go into your books of accounts, basically your books, basically your reports, your journals, ledgers, wherever. So most of the times people tend to charge slightly a more amount to the client. Maybe they could have incurred a lesser amount. This could be bank charges or something, let's say, okay? Or they wouldn't have incurred any amount, which means the entire $50 is a profit to them. So let's say that this one with the bank charges was $30 plus taxes or no taxes. The same way you charge no taxes to them. So $50 what you're charging them, $30 what you've incurred. Both are being recorded simultaneously. One goes into invoice, other goes into your accounts, where the general accounts that we saw, right? And other important part to note here is, how did you spend? Did you really use your general account? Did you use your business credit card? Did you use your cash, or which is where you have owner's pocket, which means your own pocket? Could be your own cash, could be your own credit card, could be your own general account. As in like your personal account, whatever, whichever personal account you've used or personal way of cash you've used, put them all under owner's pocket so that you can reimburse yourself from owner's pocket later on when you make enough money. So I'm going to do a simple general account, and I'm going to be adding in the information here. Let's say this was an online payment or a direct debit. If you could get the reference number from your bank statement, go ahead, enter it, you're done. It's now increased from $291 to $441 that the client owes me, if you're all looking at my projected balance on the top where I'm highlighting it. So initially it was $791 when I had only added the legal fee, right? $452 plus $339. Then I added a $500 trust receipt, which is a retainer for $500. And then $791 minus $500, we got the projected balance up to, brought it down rather, $291 Canadian dollars. If you're looking at projected balance, it's showing $441 because I have added $150 worth of disbursements into the client's account. So $291 plus $150, the overall projected balance right now is $441. You have $500 sitting in your trust. So the entire bill is $941, including of disbursements and legal fees. Now, let me translate it into an invoice. So right now it says invoice pending, which means, hey, you added some dockets. Even if you add one docket in here, guys, or a single disbursement, anything that you are going to record under an invoice, uLaw will immediately start showing invoices pending to be raised. So you can then click on invoice and pre-bill to take a look at what is really there in your invoice so that you can complete it, send it to your client, and ask them to pay you the money if there is anything. So now this is the invoice. So this is one of the formats of invoice. There are different themes, there are different combinations you can use. Now I'm using a very basic default version, and it's a preview, so you won't see invoice number here on the top. And besides, it will have a preview watermark, but at least a preview is recommended before you raise an invoice so that if there's any mistake, you can correct it at this point in time. So the first page, of course, on the top will have the client information, your information, followed by the legal fee components, which are your dockets. So you have flat rate dockets, you have hourly billable time, you have everything in there with the total 700 plus taxes, 791. Following into the second page has only disbursements, which is your court fee and bank charges. And the third page has the retainer, and the fourth page has the total. Now, this is what the client owes you. Now, you could choose to do a two-page invoice too when you're completing it. So you can click on invoice, complete. Everything looks okay to me. I'm not making any changes or any further changes. So I'm going to go ahead and raise an invoice so I can pay myself and send it to the client, asking him to pay the remaining amount. Okay. So now that I've completed the invoice, you can do a couple of things. I always like to tell my clients to click on question mark because you're a little puzzled about your next step. Okay, so this is the final invoice, guys. Before I move on to the next step, just want to show you there's an invoice number here. There's no preview, no watermark here, but everything else is going to remain the same. Maybe it's cut down to 3 pages because I just did maybe a summary version or a eco-friendly version. It's all the same. So once you're done, one thing I recommend everyone to do is before you proceed to do whatever in your bank, in the real bank, please hit this question mark. You get a fair idea of what is really happening in this matter. Okay, starts off with a deposit on top, $500. Yes, I've got it. So my till date, my balance in trust is $500, and I've invoiced $941. That's why the last 2 lines in red says that you have a pending trust transfer for the $500 that came into your trust, and for the $441 that went out of your, that needs to come into either your trust or general, which is a payment. So the difference between the two is because you have money in trust, so hence you're going to transfer it from trust to general, make it yours. Now, since you're done with the work and raise the invoice, uLaw is smart enough to recognize that you no more have to bring this $441 into your trust account. Just directly bring it into general account. Why this hassle of your client paying into trust and then you transferring it from trust to general? Rather, you can just, now you're no more obligated to bring it into your trust, but you can directly bring it into general. So you click on payments, and let's say the client paid you the same day. Now uLaw, the moment you click on payments, only brings up your general account in here. It doesn't even bring your trust account into the picture because you're done with the work and you've raised an invoice. So let's say this client paid you immediately on the same day through email transfer. So you enter the reference number. Say Darcy might paid you other than the $500, this $441 into your general account. Apply. Now you have to give her a payment receipt. Initially, you gave her a retainer receipt. So the receipt all looks very similar, but only thing is that a retainer receipt is what comes into your trust account, and a payment receipt is what comes into your general account. Now, what are we left with? Again, one question mark. I will tell you that you have a pending trust transfer. Very good. So you're going to do that in your bank first. Note down a reference number that your bank gives you. Then you're going to come back into uLaw, click on this transfer, and remove the funds from trust and make it yours by moving it into general. So I repeat, once you've collected all the payments into general, the picture is out, or you can choose to even transfer this before. So you don't have to follow any specific method, whatever works at that particular time. Either you transfer funds from trust to general first, or you get the money into your general from the client, and then you can move this anytime at your wish. But making sure that you're going to transfer this in the real bank first, get the reference number, then you transfer it in uLaw. So that way you would be able to enter this and download a Form 9A, which is one of the most important Law Society compliance documents. Every time you move money from trust to the general, Law Society wants you to generate this particular document that is called Form 9A or Electronic Trust Transfer. Has all the information. And one thing that I will need from you guys is the requisition number or the reference number that the bank gives when you transfer this money from trust to the general. Going back in here, So let's say everything is done. Sorry, I think I spoke continuously for almost 25 minutes. Not too sure. But let's say that any questions so far? I would like to pause before I go and show you guys the reports. Any questions, Joanne?
No, I think everyone's nodding their head and yay!
Thank you. Okay. So let's say that your work is completed here at this moment. What would you like to do? I would say, please go and click on compliance. It is not actually done yet. Yeah, I mean, like, in terms of collecting payments, everything is done. Maybe yours dusted, done. The file is almost ready to be closed. But before that, I really want to download these compliance documents, put it somewhere in the corner so that, when you're being audited, when you're being, let's say, you want to keep it for your keepsake at least, making sure in the file. Please go through these documents, whichever that you've not downloaded earlier, make sure you download them before you close the matter. Send a nice closing letter to the client to make it look more professional. So all of these are available in the program, right? So why not use it? So you have this done. Once this is done, closing letter is sent. Then you can mark as and close the file. Now, with several other statements you want to take a look at, you can do it at your leisure. I mean, I would be sending an edu access to join any which way, so you can all try it out. Now, these are the statement of activity, bill of cost, settlement statement, trust plus general. This is a favorite ledger of mine. It's a combination of what has happened in your client's trust and general respectively. Gives you like a flow of all the events, like a $500 came in, then you have transferred it from trust to general for legal fee, for disbursements, everything recorded on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, what happened in the general account. You first raised an invoice, then you collected money partially from the trust account, which is the trust transfer over here, and then a payment into general account. End of the day, your statement total is 0 on the left-hand side, statement total is 0 on the right-hand side. So LHS equal to RHS, hence proved. So just kidding. You have the $500 in your trust, which is completely used, invoiced trust transfer. Likewise, the invoiced amount overall $941, which got paid as a $500 from the trust and $441 into general directly. Now that it's done, you can move into accounts. Slowly see all the transactions that came in, went out. Currently, let's say we are in the pool trust account. How do you know we are in the pool trust account? Right on the top center, third option. On the top that says beside chart of accounts, you are in the pool trust account. Okay? Then you get to see whatever happened in today, last week. So when they paid you money, etc. Right? So all the money that came in, went out, everything is entered in here. Right? The trust transfer for Darcy is over here. And when you go into your general account, you will know that any disbursements and the money, the 441 and the 500 that came in from trust and the client directly are also here, 500 and 441. And then the bank charges, court fee, everything is recorded in here for Darcy. So the first 4 transactions on the top is pertaining to Darcy's file because that's the only file that I worked on today. So there are other compliance documents that would show you all of these. There's client's trust, there's client's general. Before I go and show you that, I want to showcase one more additional thing for you from our accounts tab. So you could use either a manual method to add an expense like this, add expenses, office expenses, whether it's printing paper, stationery, rent, supplies, bank charges, whatever it is, or the other method, which is one of the most newest and the easiest of all, is to simply connect your bank to uLaw. And then you click on it and it'll tell you there's some that you've already imported, some you haven't taken action, so there's only one left out. Spark Fund looks fun, but why is it here? So you could maybe say advertisement and promotion. Maybe you gave an advertisement and promotion, and taxable, everything is good in here. You probably gave a check. You entered a check number here. You want to submit it. Yes, please go ahead and submit it. The moment you do that, this is 25 to 2023, right? So you wait for the accounts to finish loading. And once that's done, let's say this is last month. So I know this is 25th of Feb. So let's see how it looks. When you go into this particular tab, you will see the Spark Fund is entered in here. Probably go to the bottom. Yeah, there you go. Spark Fund. You see that? 25 Feb. Advertisement and promotion. Right? So the one that I entered from the Connect Bank, I was able to, right now if I click on Connect Bank, it will say everything is imported. There won't be any take action like I just had to take action for Spark Fund earlier. So this is a method you can easily add in expenses, your office expenses, client expenses, your withdrawals to pay yourself, like your salary, other things can be easily done for this, as well as your business credit card. So there are two bank, general type of bank accounts, which is not trust. So you can add in all of these, take action, and of course, record them accordingly. Now, besides that, you have a bunch of other actions that you can do, and I already mentioned is available in here. Like, you know, you are going to transfer from bank to pay your credit card, to pay yourself. You can do that here. And you can add expenses from here. You can import expenses from here through Connect Bank. You can do the reconciliations under the reconciliation tab. So like, let's say you want to just quickly, maybe Joe and I'll quickly show reconciliation and compliance and wrap it up here. I don't want to take too much time here. But let's say right now I'm under trust reconciliation. When you click on the trust reconciliation, now you're going to have a tab that shows you all the reconciliation. I'm not going into the real reconciliation mode because this is an EDU account, so it couldn't take too much time to do it. But I'm just showing you the steps. So once you have added in all the items for that specific month, like, you know, all the deposits, all the withdrawals that you see in your bank statement in your trust, simply click on reconciliation. Enter the date, first of all, for which you're reconciling. You could reconcile as on 31st, 25th, depending upon your bank statement end date. Balance as on the end date. Clear the deposits and withdrawals that you're seeing at the bottom. There are some things that are not cleared, which means they are outstanding. So the moment you've done the right, chosen the right options or chosen the right items, you will immediately see the reconciliation button popping up in blue, which means you're ready to reconcile and move on to the next one. Okay? Now that's about trust. Same way the general reconciliation works. You're going to record the date on which you're going to do the reconciliation. You're going to enter the balance as per the bank statement for that specific date. And then you are going to be entering the reconciliation tab. So that's reconciliation for you guys. And there's compliances, which is also going to show you all of those transactions that we entered today. Let's take a simple ledger and a journal. I want to see your client's trust ledger. Okay. I'll just download with today's date, and you will see that this ledger will only show you what has happened in the trust for this client, because I've only done this much. So you got 500 into your trust and you transferred the 500 from your trust to the general. Okay. So that is client's trust ledger. You now have, let's say, client's general receipt. Let's take it for today's date. So which means that It'll have all of the items that happened in your general for today. So you all might be wondering, why is there only client's trust transfer over here? What about the receipt? There is only disbursement because I chose only today's date. Now let's say I go back and do it for the same client's trust, but let's say I just want to do it not for all clients, but for Darcy and download. When I do that, you will see the $500 that came in as a retainer on as well. So you'll be able to see the $500 that comes in here. Maybe I'm doing it only for the March 9th. Excuse me. Okay, you know what? I don't want to do it for the previous dates because there would be a whole bunch of transactions. As I said, it's an EDU account. But to understand that you can do it date-wise, you could do it client-wise. So if I'm doing it for March 9th, I can see these other transactions that happened in this client's trust account in March, on March 9th. So you will be able to accordingly make your adjustments. And the other interesting thing that I feel here is the fee book. So end of every month, you could download a fee book for yourself. Let's say this is for the month of March so far. So you can download it and you'll have an Darcy's fee, legal fee, disbursements, other things too. Of course, it's going to have other things from 1st of March that I've entered. But if you go to the bottom, you'll see whatever pertains to Darcy, Mike. So there's a $791 legal fee and there's $150 worth of disbursements in here. So they total up to the amount Darcy's invoice was $941. Now, that's what a fee book does. A fee book would show the date, which client it pertains to, the description, other fee details, whether it's HST, GST, PST portion, and the fee, and whether taxes included, excluded, and gives you a total. All right, so I think we are at the top of the hour. I think I want to make sure that we have any questions here. Did I run too fast, Joanne? Do you want me to repeat any of it? Of course, there's going to be recording.
You've got a lot of happy people here.
Okay, great. Any questions that I can take for all of you?
I will open the floor to the students.
Okay, great. So it's just that one of you need to have the...
Good job. Everyone understood.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, there are some materials and links that I would like to forward to you. Maybe it would be helpful for your students, like EDU links. Please do share with them. When I send you this recording, they could, as a, new entrepreneur, if they start their own firm, they always have the offers that they can avail from uLaw as a new entrepreneur. This is one thing I would really recommend them doing. I handle, Joe, and I handle new entrepreneurs, a lot of, paralegals day in, day out. But I feel that it is very important to have a practice management from day one. Yes, you might feel a pinch, but it's not too much. Trust me, you're looking at maybe 34 Canadian dollars per month plus taxes.
Yeah, and I told them, if they do it from the start, they don't have to worry about data migration because that, everything is fresh and new. And, uLaw provides them the support that they need when they're getting started.
Right. That's absolutely.
100%. I would support what you said. Do it right away. Pay the $500, $600, $700. And then you don't have the $2,000 migration.
Yeah, right? They can even do the 34 Canadian dollars per month. It's not a big deal at the beginning, but I'm just saying that, of course, 34 Canadian dollars month plus taxes multiplied 12 times. Yes, kind of comes to 468 taxes, right? So, but around $500. but then I think they also have an option to avail it for monthly, so it's much simpler, not too much on them at one chunk. So they can go as per their plan. And having it from day one, yes, like Joanne mentioned, it's going to be, you're going to get more secured feeling, leave alone the migration and other things. Yes, of course, migration is going to be a little hectic, trying to recollect what happened 10 months ago, what happened 6 months ago, what happened. I wouldn't remember what happened last month in my bank. I know, 15 months ago. Yeah, so what happened in the last month is to get that into my memory, it takes about 10 minutes, while imagining the workflow that goes hand in hand when you have a program from day zero. I won't even say day one, I say day zero, because when you open a bank account for your trust in general, you should open a uLaw account. That's the kind of, method that it should work in, because you're end of the day making sure that, okay, whether you have a $0 in trust or not, Law Society expects you to do a $0 reconciliation also. So that's how tricky it can get. You might be knowing all of this 6 months later, but at least glad you all had an opportunity to discuss this with us right now. So when you're out of your school, when you decide to do something on your own, just knock at our door. You have, Joanne, you can always email us. You have my email ID, or you can just go visit our website, which is uLaw.io, and always register for a 30-day free trial. As simple as that. And then, obviously, you can let us know that, hey, I attended a session with you guys from my college, and I'm here doing this for you. So, it just starts there. It doesn't take you more than a few seconds, I promise. So, you're welcome anytime to try this out when you're on your own, and let us know how you feel, where you need help. We'll be happy to do more.
Okay, wonderful. Gay, I'm so happy that we could have this session.
Yes, my myself too. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all. Such a pleasure.
I will provide them with your email, so at least they have a contact if they need one.
Absolutely.
And again, thank you so much, and I won't take up any more of your time, Gay.
Thank you so much too, Joanne. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you all for listening over. I will be sending this recording and a few other links that would be helpful for all of you when you pass out or when you need it. All right. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.